The best fights on divorce court.
I can't do this. I want to beat her.
Stay right back.
You gonna deny that you slept with me because of her?
Sure, so why do I need to deny it?
Because you denying it to the judge.
Me and her got along good. We watched Have Nots together, and what speaking.
Miss Bell.
Yeah, right to you.
That's my
Hey, you are a cheater.
Mrs. Drew, the proof is in the pudding, bitch.
Sit Mrs. Drew down.
You're not gonna do nothing but sit there and be disrespectful as usual.
A failed business, infidelity, loss of a child, and questionable jobs have led this marriage of several years to the edge of divorce. After almost landing a shotgun wedding, Miss Ware decided to postpone marriage for her upcoming child. But when she lost her daughter, her man wasn't there for her. Furthermore, STDs in her reports pointed out the swindling of the guy at the podium. We know all of this is just about enough to break down anyone.
From May till after she was born, I've never lost anything before, so it was really, really hard for me. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to feel about him. I didn't know how to feel about losing our daughter. It was just so much.
Judge Lynn could clearly see how losing the baby had taken the best of the woman. She even asked the participants if this acted as a sour place in their relationship. Robert implied that his wife was acting strange after the death of their daughter, and of course, her stepping outside the marriage started there. So, when the judge asked Miss Ware about that, she responded like this.
I felt betrayal. Before our daughter and after she died, I had never cheated on him. I wouldn't even dream of it. He was my life, my everything. I did everything for that man. When I found out that he cheated, I felt betrayal in every aspect.
In every way.
In every way.
Apparently, wifey was doing it out of spite, after getting smacked by betrayal in her face in the most difficult time of her life, which Robert found hard to digest, as he only did it once, whereas the woman was riding the same roller coaster again and again.
I don't think cheating on somebody in retaliation is ever the way to go. But she forgave you for your cheating. Have you forgiven her for hers?
Too many times.
So you just did it once and she's done it regularly?
I didn't do it once. It became a game, back and forth.
But things weren't that simple, as the woman brought up the South Dakota part, where the couple had rekindled their relationship apparently, and everything was going smoothly, even though a nervous woman came to Miss Ware and told her about her husband dealing with other women.
You know, I dealt with a lot of stuff, but I loved the man so much.
That's always fascinated me. If somebody told me my boyfriend was cheating on me, I'm out.
Oh yeah, this has been many of times. I've even been jumped by a girl because of him.
When women were telling you he was cheating on them, you saw that as the good times?
Yeah, because he was always with me.
Who on earth puts up with that? This woman's just cray-cray. It's like she wants to be taken for granted. Or maybe not, because in mid-trial, Haley took off her ring and passed it off to her husband, because she was very much done, as she could not be some other woman taking up her place. Yes, even after putting up with such ill treatment, her husband chooses another woman over her. And when Mr. Ware's girlfriend entered the court, the wife went ballistic.
Stay right back.
You gonna deny that you slept with me because of her?
Sure,
You
so why
slept with me,
do I need to deny it?
Because you denying it to the judge. I can't do this. I want to beat her.
You've been through too much. You're too beautiful. You have too many opportunities. Don't let anybody.
Her frustration could be felt right across the screen. And even though the judge sympathized with her, she could not destroy the decorum of her court. So she told her to calm down, as no person in the world was worth that.
Tiffany, let me tell you something.
Yes, ma'am.
You got the man you want.
Married man.
He's not going to be married much longer. Act like he got some class and some dignity.
Yes,
They've
ma'am.
been through a lot together. They lost a child together. They've had an extraordinary, long, involved, and complicated relationship. Don't come out here rubbing your tummy and looking all funny and all. That's so street.
Yeah, that was really below the belt. Try to tease a woman like that. Things were totally over for this couple. I mean, who could possibly reconcile after such humiliation and betrayal? The only thing left here was to wrap things up for good. Come on, Judge, let's hear that verdict.
How do I cut off love after 7 years? You don't
I've been
flip
trying to
a switch.
let me
tell you
You
how-
don't flip a switch.
Hey, let me tell you how you. I'm telling you how to do
Tell
it.
me.
I'm not saying you can switch off love. What I'm saying is you can switch off contact. You can not
I
make
can't do that.
contact.
She texts me all the time.
But what I want.
Hot champagne marriage mess has claims of car fraud, being a deadbeat wife, and yelling at each other oozing out of it. Right from the start, it was certain that it was going to be one wretched ride, so the judge took her seat and began the trial on the deadbeat comment.
Well, first of all, we had a lot of issues that we were going through. One of them, there was a few times in our marriage that there were things that wasn't getting done, and I felt that I had personally had to approach her and say, "You are a deadbeat wife."
What? You never said those words to me.
Yep, Mr. Bell is pulling in the big guns. According to him, his wife was no help around the house and wasn't very efficient at paying the bills. Furthermore, he was the one who had an insatiable income, still acting as the breadwinner of the household.
I've been working steadily. My job is a seasonal job, environmental work. In the winter, we don't have a lot of work.
How'd you get laid off from a seasonal
But now
job?
let's not argue. He was off work.
Okay.
All righty.
Yes, he
I can
was.
see what your problem is already.
Right. First of all, protocol is to pay all the bills, if, you know what I'm saying? But now we live in a society where it takes two. We were living together because we had separated.
Sounds good on paper, doesn't it? Mr. Bell was very present with his claims of being the perfect husband and his wife not being good enough for him, which everyone, including Judge Lynn, had a hard time believing. That is why it was high time to move to Miss Robinson.
First of all, he's never once called me a deadbeat. Secondly, I had my job. I did, after 10 years of employment at the same place, I did lose my job over really tragic circumstances. He finally started paying rent and utilities. That's his idea of paying the bill.
See? Paying the bills had a different definition in Gino's universe. But his wife was not ready to put up with his delusions, as she told Judge Lynn how her man wouldn't let her take care of her sick mother.
This man, he tries to act like he's traditional, but he's not. He pays rent and utility. That's it. And I said to him, if I moved out today, you still have to pay your rent and utilities. You have to pay where you live.
That does make sense. I mean, you're paying the bills you're responsible for. Nonetheless, this fact was too much for Mr. Bell to comprehend, and the guy was running around his family and church showing off what a great man of the house he was.
Also, I want to do his son, our stepson's room, okay. Then he puts in the dining room. I was doing a formal dining room with crystal, and it was gold and silver and crystal. He puts a treadmill in there.
Now, Mr. Bell, because she sounds like she's pretty responsible.
Well, the deadbeat part wasn't still justified. So far, it looks that woman had taken care of everything, while the hubby was too busy sulking around. Even the judge believed that Mr. Bell was just making things up, and to get a deeper insight, the stepdaughter was connected to the courtroom. And this drama got loose.
We got along good when she stayed there. Me and her got along good. We watched Have Nots together, and we're speaking.
Ms. Bell, Ms. Bell.
I am
Ms.
speaking.
Bell.
See, this is what I dealt with.
No.
Surely the young woman was calling to be cut off. She had the whole courtroom gasping with her cursing the stepmother at the podium. The judge could see what the woman had to put up with all year, and now it was time for her to give the final word.
I mean, it's just a hot mess. Are you together now?
No.
Stay that way.
Thank you.
I didn't hear a cogent story, yes. All I'm gonna do is say no recovery and run.
Kavisha Drew is looking for a counsel because she is running after her husband, while Mr. Drew is testifying of his wife being manipulative to the point of keeping his children from him. Yep, they're starting this one on a messy note, so you can tell where things will go from here.
He has a nasty attitude problem.
What do you mean he has a nasty attitude?
He gets mad at the kids and stay beefing with them. He calls them people on the street. Then if he gets an attitude for something I said or something I did, he'll run across the house and just knock all the pictures off the wall.
Better that than you.
The lady claimed that her man had a nasty attitude. The guy even had his own children on a leash, but in Mr. Drew's defense, he never went rough with kids. Instead, he used the silent treatment to discipline his kids. Nonetheless, Mommy was the one who was ruining the kids with her slothy attitude, and according to him, Mrs. Drew was a bad influence around the kids. With that being said, the judge called up a witness from the wife's side who shed light on the matter like this.
She lives really close to me, so I pull up at her house and he's chucking her clothes out the door. He's locking her out of rooms. The garage in their house has a deadbolt. She don't even know what's in that room.
It's a garage.
He's always with his mom.
Because he wants his mother's milk and cook. That's why he's always with his mother.
A friend's statement really riffed Mr. Drew up, and he told the court how his wife was humiliating him in front of his family and friends, and even went to the length of posting about their separation on social media, which made the Druv give some lessons to Mrs. Drew.
They never should become primary over your relationship. You handle your relationship with your man in that house, in the room, not on post, not changing your marital status on some kind of social media. Don't make no sense. It's like trying to be married in the hall of a junior high. It won't work out.
Since the trial was on third-party testimony, the judge also called in the mother-in-law. So you can imagine what kinds of cats were about to get out of the bag. Accordingly, Annabelle was all in for her son. She told the court how her son's wife treated her badly and never even cut her slack.
He left you to
and you
get away
told
from
him to
you.
go be a man.
He left her.
We are not going to do that.
He
in here.
left her to get away from her. So I'm not gonna let my son be out in the street. Something happened to him. Oh no, then I'm gonna look at her.
Mrs. Bell further told the court how she was being blamed for introducing her son to another woman, which the big mama didn't feel bad about because she wasn't setting them up. Still, the wifey blamed her mother-in-law for the cleavage in their marriage, as if they were doing just fine before that.
She's always calling her son to the job, so I was wondering what was going on. And then when I would get back with him, and we on good terms now, every time your mother switched jobs, it's a new woman in place. She don't want me in the picture, so anything to get me out the picture, and she knew she wasn't gonna work. So she had to bring somebody else involved.
Okay.
So apparently, other women are the reason for this mess. Getting one to the courtroom would make sense, right? And well, that's exactly what went down next. Mrs. Bell's new employee's daughter and Mr. Drew's friends were asked by Lynn if she'd been doing the rumba with someone else's husband. The woman responded like this.
Have you two gone out on dates?
Yes, we have, but
And you knew he was married?
I did.
And if he were to ask you to take it to the next level, would you?
No, absolutely
Clearly,
not.
you
She was in
would.
another state. He was living with his mom.
Miss Jeffrey was quite clear about her intentions, and even Mr. Drew claimed that if he had to cheat, he wouldn't swindle so sloppy, as there were millions of ways to have an affair and keep it hidden. As for Mrs. Bell, she made it clear that she wouldn't allow any infidelity under her roof, but this relational testimony was interrupted by the bickering between both sides.
As a mother, wouldn't allow it to take place
Yeah,
in my
right.
presence.
That's a
Yeah,
lie.
yeah, right to you
That-
because you're a
that's a lie.
cheater.
Hey,
You
You're
call me
a
a cheater,
cheater.
but where's the proof?
Mrs. Drew, the proof is in the pudding, bitch.
Sit Mrs. Drew down.
You're not gonna do nothing but sit there and be disrespectful as usual.
After that, the wedding scenario was revealed, and it turns out Big Mama here wasn't even invited to her own son's wedding, which she blamed the wife for. Don't you think that this is uncalled for? And the judge felt the same. Lynn shoved some truth in Mrs. Bell's face for making her son a total victim. However, Mr. Drew's mama wasn't ready to come slow.
I don't pick who, because if I did, she wouldn't have been my pick.
Right.
Okay? Saying I don't like her, I never wanted them to be married.
Why didn't you like her in the beginning?
She's always
was
been
at
a
the wedding.
disrespectful
Stop it.
little hood rat. She was the one riding around the neighborhood, half dressed.
That's a lot of drama. No one is ready to go easy on each other. Even Judge Lynn was getting drained by all of it. I mean, they're all grown up, but still handling things like children. I think it was about time to wrap things up for good.
He could have called me and asked me, but he did not call me.
Judge,
He did
every
not ask me,
time,
can you
every
see
time
the
she
cheat?
catch an attitude with me,
Mrs. Drew, let me say this. You doing your children a disservice. And I want you to be very, very clear about that. You do not have the right to do that to your children. I don't care the way you like him or not.
Cheating, throwing fists, screaming, having no respect for your spouse surely can cause messy marriage and brutal separation, and the Wheelers are headed on that very same road. Let's see how they heat up the divorce court for real.
You people were able to date each other for 2 years, but now only after 10 months of marriage, you want a divorce. Explain that to me.
Before we got married, he had a very good job. He kept his job. Now, all of a sudden, just recently, since we've been separated, knowing me, he's called my job.
So the hubby was all good for nothing, and he had a bad temper. The worst part is that he blamed his wife for not being able to keep the job. Like, what on earth? You're a grown man. Who can keep you from working? Well, in his defense, Mrs. Wheeler's nagging and unsupportive attitude made him quit her job, whereas I found it hard to fall for such excuses.
Hold on a second. You telling me that your wife would risk you working when she needs your money as opposed to taking the bus to
Yes.
work at 6 o'clock in the morning? Is that what you trying to make me believe?
Let me tell you something. I can
Just answer that.
Yes.
No one can make people stay with them forcefully now, can they? Especially when they keep acting like that. You're definitely gonna lose your family. However, marriage takes effort from both sides, so the judge gave this reality check before concluding things.
If she's hugged up with another man, you're separated anyway, accept the fact that the relationship is over, move on with your life. She's an adult. You can't stop that either. You know, getting tough and violent and angry and your threats, that doesn't change anything. All it does is hurt you.
Yeah, the man actually needs some chill pills shoved down his throat, or else he'll ruin his life and the life of people around him. And the judge pointed it out and advised counseling for him, whereas he again blamed Mrs. Wheeler for his uncivil conduct by stating that his woman had given him the word of getting back together, but the very next day went to be with another man. And this made him go crazy.
If you saw her hugged up with another man from her job, after she promised you that you and she were going to reconcile,
Yes, ma'am.
if she's keeping your children from you, there is a proper way to handle all of that.
Yes, ma'am. And
your tirade and your Mike Tyson approach is not the way to handle it.